Let's go.
I think I'm live anyway. Am I live? I have to question sometimes. You know, when you wake up in the morning and you don't feel like you're anything at all, you question then, am I alive? Am I alive? This morning I woke up really early because the puppy was crying to go out, which is unusual for him because he usually sleeps as long as I do. And then guess what? Then I got up, I let him out. And I really should have just stayed up, but I thought, nah, I'll have another 10 minutes. And of course, you know what happens when you have another 10 minutes, don't you? 10 minutes turns into 15, into 20, and then all of a sudden you're racing around. And anyway, that was my morning. And good morning to all of you. Welcome to The Spirit World Sees All. Now, before we begin this week's show, I've got a massive apology, massive apology, because I had promised people last week that we were going to talk about whether or not we should celebrate our loved ones' birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas, all those things that, that we might celebrate with our loved ones. Should we celebrate? And in fact, how, if we should celebrate, how should we celebrate? So if any of you want to ask questions about that this morning, feel free, knock yourselves out, go for it. We shall take some of those questions and all the other questions that you have as well. But we thought that this is a really great topic because, you know, so many people, when we lose someone, you know, we especially if it's someone close to us, we do remember those anniversaries. We do remember, you know, the day that they passed. In fact, I had someone email me just yesterday to say, you know, my dad passed 20 years ago today. And, you know, and still, of course, still grieving, because we do still grieve. But how do we grieve? How should we grieve? Is there a way to grieve? And so on. And I have so many people in the spirit world who will say, you know, death, as much as it seems like it's the end for us, especially when it's with our children or when it's with someone we're extremely close to. And to lose a child is the very worst loss, I think, that any one of us could bear. Speaking as a mother, that's how I feel, at least. But every loss has its own pain, and every loss for every person is a difficult loss, and comes with all of the traumas and all of the difficulties of dealing with that loss and coping with that loss. But let's say we've lost someone really close to us, and here comes the anniversary, the first year's anniversary of that loss. A lot of people choose to go to the graveside. They take flowers, they lay the flowers down. And you've all heard me say before, if you want to bring flowers to your loved ones in the spirit world, by all means go to the grave if you feel like it. They will walk with you. They will stand by your side while you speak to them. And when you're done and you lay the flowers down on the ground thinking that you're giving them a gift, they, of course, will appreciate it. And as you walk away from the graveside and the flowers, they will walk away with you. My question, therefore, is, who gets the flowers? So one way of celebrating is, if you feel it's necessary to go visit the grave, I know a lot of you do because you think that you're honoring your loved ones, and of course you are, and each of us has our own way of doing those things. But if that's important to you, my advice is, by all means, take the flowers with you if you want to. They'll walk with you, they'll see the flowers, but take them back home with you, would you? Put them in a nice vase next to the photograph of your loved one, so that when he or she is visiting with you, and especially on that day when they're very often, usually very close to you on that day, because they know that you need them and you need their support, you all get to share the flowers. All of you do. Your loved ones in the spirit world get to share the flowers, and you get to share the flowers. So, you know, think carefully before you next lay flowers on a grave, because you walk away and nobody gets them. And that's a shame, because personally I love flowers, you see, so I would be much more inclined to nurture them. I would take flowers and put them in a vase for my daddy buy his photo and put them in a vase for him, so that every time I look at the flowers, I can actually visualize. I probably can see him, but for everybody else, you can visualize that person enjoying the flowers and smiling, not only because they're enjoying the flowers, but because you are enjoying the flowers too, which is hugely important to them that you enjoy. I have so many people in the spirit world who say, you know, we didn't die. We do understand that they are grieving. We do understand that they miss us. But do you think we could have a party? So I advise people who would like to celebrate but are not sure whether they should or not. I go have a party or do something that you would enjoy with that person. Go to the beach, go to the park, have a picnic, or even go to the movies. If it's your dad or your granddad and you used to watch the football, get yourself a big bowl of popcorn, put on the TV or whatever it is, and watch football eating that popcorn. They will be sitting on the sofa with you and celebrating. Remember, they are celebrating and we are celebrating. We're celebrating, first of all, the life that they lived. We're celebrating the love that they had for us and the that they have for us, should I say, and the love that we have for them. We're also celebrating the fact that we know that they are safe, we know that their angels are with them, and we know that actually while we're sitting on that sofa eating that popcorn, they're right by our side making lots of comments, whether it's about the football match or whatever it is. When we have a birthday or when it's their birthday, if you used to make them a cake, don't change it. They're going to still want the cake. They may not like to eat it, but they will love enjoying the family get-togethers. They will love seeing you all together. They will love seeing you partying. They will love seeing you eating that cake. They will love seeing you living your life to the fullest. And this is how we truly can celebrate our loved ones in the spirit world, by living our life to the fullest and having them enjoy watching us living our life to the fullest. So I'm throwing that out there. If you want to ask any more questions about that, or you think that we should have a deeper or further discussion about that, please, we are here. All right, good morning, everybody. So let me say good morning, first of all, to my spirit guide, Gregor, who is always standing to my right side. And then we have two girls on the sofa this morning. We have Michelle, who is our new assistant. Say good morning, Michelle.
Good morning.
And we have Carolyn, who she's still here. We just cannot get rid of her. And then she told me today, this is not my last day because I'm coming back in a couple of weeks. So she's coming back in a couple of weeks on a Thursday to join in with us. So we've not lost her yet. So she'll keep turning up like that bad penny. You know that person just keeps turning up for different reasons. So say good morning, Carolyn.
Good morning, Carolyn.
There you are. She never fails, never fails. And unfortunately, this morning we do not have Al, because Al is somewhere on the east. Are we on the East Coast? We are, aren't we? So he's somewhere sort of around the New York area, or he's up there. So we don't get him today, but he will be with us tomorrow on our Everything is Attitude show. So having this brilliant, great attitude, I've been singing this morning. We've been singing the Phantom of the. When I say we, I mean me and those in the spirit world. These girls just cower their heads. They hunker down. They think, oh God, what's that noise in the bedroom? They cringe. They're trying to do their work, and I'm singing away. And I have a very loud voice, and they're whispering to each other. It's wonderful, really, because it's a good thing that I am not distracted by other people's whisperings. I'm so curious, though, to know. I think the reason I'm such so good at what I do, talking to people in the spirit world, is because, and I've said this many times before, I am truly a very nosy person. If I see someone, most people, when they see someone in the spirit world, they're so amazed and agog, and they get startled, and they don't think to ask any questions whatsoever. And my attitude is immediately, oh, who are you? What do you want? What are you doing here? So, because I'm nosy. That's why I'm as good at what I do as I am. Shall we? Let me see. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Shall we go to Carolyn? Carolyn, do you have a question for us, my dear?
Leticia does.
Leticia, good morning, Leticia.
She says, I'm Italian and I would like to know my angel's name. Thank you.
Well, then you need to learn to ask. Because if you're listening to your angel and you know that your angel is there, Leticia, then if you listen really, really, really carefully, it might take you a while to hear it, but eventually your angel will give his or her name. It's not for me to tell it, it's for you to find it out, my lovely. But thank you for watching the show. Right. And now, for the first time ever, yes, Michelle, do you have a question for us? You're a bit nervous, aren't you?
A little
bit
bit,
nervous.
Yeah.
Don't be nervous, because here's the thing: we are live and things go wrong, and we don't care. Here's the thing: I don't mind anyone making mistakes of any kind, as long as they just tell me, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. What I can't live with is when you don't tell me, so we can't rectify it, and then the mistake grows bigger and bigger. If you fail, it's fine. You won't fail.
Fails are learning.
Fails are learning curves. There you go. All right. We've got a smarty pants here on the sofa with us. All right, Michelle, go for it, my lovely.
All right. Violet has a question.
Good morning, Violet.
And she wants to know, do angels have wings? And if so, what are they for? Surely they don't need them.
Well, I have seen many angels. You know the story. Before I saw one, I didn't believe them, or didn't not believe, but I didn't believe either. I'm a bit like the doubting Thomas. I have to see the holes in the hands in order to believe. I have to have the absolute evidence in front of me before I'll even consider that what I'm seeing is real. However, let me think about this a minute, Violet. I have seen many angels who either don't have wings, or I haven't seen them, or they've chosen not to show them to me. But I have also seen the majority of angels that I've seen have wings, and usually they're pretty big. It's a good question. Do they actually use them? I suppose it makes flight easier, because when you're flying through the universe, when you're flying through that energy, when you're flying through God's powerful energy and you're using that God force, perhaps those wings help them to climb higher than we mere mortals can possibly climb. That is just Ray was laughing at me. So he's not saying I'm right, and he's not saying I'm wrong. He's just laughing at me. So that would be my thought on why they might have wings. I will tell you a funny story though. The first or second time I went to the Far East, and I went to China. And as I was going around, of course, I was, invited to give talks and workshops and so on. And a lot of that was in Hong Kong, but some of it on mainland China too. But when the Chinese people realized that I actually was able to talk to those in the spirit world, when they realized about my gift, when they realized that I was a healer and also gave healing, it was quite funny, really, because from time to time, if I was in a gathering, or if we were invited to go have drinks or go to a social event or something, every now and again throughout the social event, every now and again I would feel some surreptitious little hand on my back, in the middle of my back. Now, you might think that this was from the spirit world, but I'm actually talking of those Chinese who were brave enough to see if they could feel anything growing in my back, the nub of my wings, because many of those that I spoke to did think that I must be an earth angel. did I have wings or didn't I? It was their perception of what I do. And it was quite intriguing to me because I wasn't sure what was happening at first. I'd have people coming up and they'd say hello to me, and then they'd just sort of slightly put their hand behind my back, and I'd feel them rubbing up and down to see if, feeling my knobbly spine to see if they could feel anything else there. And it was, only after several times this had happened that I asked a friend of mine, why do I find people trying to rub my back? And I was told they're looking for your wings. So that's an interesting story. And I do not have wings. More importantly, unfortunately, I do not have a halo either. I know some people think I might, but if I had a halo, it would probably be sitting around my neck, choking me, because I am so far from being a saint or an angel. I cannot tell you. Let's have our next question, Michelle.
This one is from Nan.
Good morning, Nan.
And she says, "Hi, Rose. I lost my mom's cousin to cancer. May I have any news from her? Is she with her husband now?"
I was going to say once again that this is not what we do on this show. However, Gregor has put his hand on my shoulder, and I'm to tell you that all that you wish for her is what she has. So let's move on to our next question.
Pam has a question. Morning, Rosemary.
Good morning, Pam.
I asked a question on email. If a person was a very angry and jealous person during their life, does that personality continue with them when they pass over?
It depends, actually. It's a good question, Pam. Thank you. It depends how much they want to learn and how much they want to grow. But can you imagine that someone who perhaps doesn't really believe in the afterlife, and people who are angry and frustrated or mean or difficult, they must have a difficult time believing in those, those spiritual beliefs that we have, those of us who share this program. And so can you imagine the shock, the awe, the, absolutely astounding fact that, hold on a minute, where am I and what am I doing here? And then imagine that person then has to view themselves, to look and to see how many people they hurt, to actually witness again the way that they hurt others, not only the others, but the way they also hurt themselves and damage their own soul. And often this is enough to make somebody rethink. It's enough to make a person change their ways, to be remorseful, to be regretful, and to try to make a difference. But as we know, there are stubborn people out there, and there are stubborn people in the spirit world, just the same as there are stubborn people here. I remember having a young man brought to me who tried to kill himself several times. His mother and his grandmother came through from the spirit world to help me to understand and to help him. The grandmother was wonderful and fabulous. Unfortunately, the mother was just as mean, just as determined, and just as determined to be right as she ever was here. So she was having a struggle learning and growing. There are people, I'm sure there are people in the spirit world this applies to, and I know there are many people on this earth plane of ours who would much rather be right than happy. And I will often ask people the question, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? It is astounding to me how many people will just look at me and say, I'd rather be right. Well, good luck to you then, because if you'd rather be right all the time, you'll never find happiness, ever, never. Let's have another question.
All right,
Michelle.
This one is from Dean.
Good morning, Dean, my darling.
He says,
It better be a really good question.
Can people in the spirit world present themselves differently to different people on Earth, on the Earth plane? Example, as a child to one medium and a grown-up to another.
No. I'm checking with Gregor. I don't think so, no. They might describe themselves, if they are adult at the time of their passing, they might describe themselves to a medium as they were when they were a child, but the medium would see them as an adult. Yes, I'm going to go with that. Pretty sure I'm right on that, Dean. Well, that's when we have to sort of question the medium. That's when we have to question the medium's ability, because as we know, again and again and again, and on this show, we've had examples again and again and again of people being given awful advice from people who claim to be mediums, who we know are not. And I say the same about myself. Don't just believe it because I say so. Be skeptical, be critical. So this is when, when the integrity of a person comes in, and not everybody has integrity. So, so I'm going to say to the question, I think it's a no. It's a good question though, Dean. Thank you for that. Let's have our next question, Michelle. Oh, wow. Look, Karen's handing over to Michelle.
This one is from Twiggy.
Good morning, Twiggy.
And she wants to know that she saw some students in the Facebook page talking about whether or not they should wear the color red. Are there colors that we should avoid wearing?
Oh, Twiggy, you're trying to jump ahead, aren't you? Little naughty little Twiggy. It's a good thing I love you to pieces. But yes, and it's very common knowledge, because I do write about it in whichever book it is. I can't remember now which it is, but colours are very, very important in our lives, because each colour is a certain type of energy. When mediums see auras, that energy field that is around us, we often see the aura in a mass of colours, and depending on the colours that we see, we can learn an awful lot about a person. For instance, if we see someone who has a lot of the colour blue in their aura, we know that either, and this is, because you can't, nothing is totally black and white. We know that either that person is in need of healing, or we know that that person is themselves a healer. So with my patients, I absolutely try to help them to visualize certain colors. For instance, if somebody is feeling low, feeling depressed, or you've got a heavy cold, or you're just feeling really sick for whatever reason, I ask the patient to visualize themselves being wrapped in a warm, soft blue blanket. And it helps if they go out and they buy a soft, warm blue blanket, because it helps them to visualize. And the color blue is the natural healing color. Now, let's look at red. And I did talk to my students briefly about the color red, which is very naughty girl here, but I'm going to answer you anyway, because I love you. But red is a color that we might use. For instance, if somebody is feeling extremely lethargic or depressed, or they have no energy whatsoever, if we as healers, if we're giving them healing, we'll sort of infuse a little tiny bit of red here and there into our aura, and then visualize it going onto our patient or into our patient. Again, we can help by just adding a little red scarf around our neck, or a little red hanky in our pocket, because it just reminds us that we need the energy. However, the color red it's a pretty dangerous color, because if you use too much of it, whether you're the healer or whether you're the patient, if you use too much of the color red, it'll have you dancing on the ceiling, because it'll blow your mind. It's sort of very creative, powerful, fiery energy. So we use it gently. I advise people, if they're having trouble at work, to either wear a blue shirt or a green shirt. Green denotes peace. The color green denotes peace, especially the beautiful soft greens that you see in the beginning of spring in nature. They denote, and there are lots of different shades of every color that we talk about. So color is important to us, because it helps us to visualize, or to create through a visualization or a feeling technique. It helps us to create it within ourselves, positivity, calm, peace, etc., etc. The color gold, for instance, is purely and simply beautiful spiritual color. The color white, again, the color of purity, the color of purple. If you go into any church, go back to medieval times, even to today, however many hundreds of years that is apart, you'll see the color purple in churches because it is a very strong, I hate to use the word religion because religion, it means different things to different people. So, but it's a very spiritual, and it denotes the faith and the intense belief in God that somebody might have. So you often see the color purple in churches. And if you feel that you're lacking in faith a little bit, go out, buy a little purple hanky and just remind yourself, sort of tuck it into your pocket or sort of, hold on to it from time to time, or wear a purple shirt or a green shirt or whatever color you feel that you need. But yes, each color is a certain type of energy, and used correctly and with visualization techniques, which my students, Twiggy, I'm giving you the evil eye now, giving you the dead eye, we call it, which we are learning in class. I'm having fun with you, don't you? And so we are using colors, and we're learning about colors, and we're learning about the different energies that different colors, different types of energy that we need to infuse our aura with. Let's have a next question. That seemed to go on a bit about that one. Sorry about that if I did it too long.
We actually have a comment.
Oh,
from Vicky.
Go for it. Good morning, Vicky.
It says, my 16-year-old son passed 5 years ago, and I take your suggestion and put flowers next to his urn. I pray he feels our love, and I always make a cake on his birthday.
Oh, Vicky, oh, thank you so much. You can come to my house anytime. Come for tea. Bring the cake with you. We'll celebrate together. I am so sorry for your loss, but it seems to me that you are doing everything in your power for your son to be proud of you. And according to Grey Eagle, he really, really is. We know that you cry. We know that you've been crying very recently, a real heartache very recently. But trust that he's with you, darling. He really is. And even though he may not be able to physically eat the cake, he remembers your cakes. And they're pretty good, I'm told. Let's have our next question. Thank you, Vicky, for that comment. I appreciate that.
The next question is from Gigi.
Good morning, Gigi.
Why would evolved souls choose to come back into the world as intellectually disabled? Why not into able-bodied to teach people?
Well, there are lots of different reasons. Earth angels, which I think perhaps we're talking about here a little bit, earth angels very often will come back in, I hate to use the word disabled because they're not really disabled. They are more able than we are. They have more than we do. They have the magic within them that they share with us. But I know what you mean. Why do they choose to come back for that reason? Well, they choose because they first of all, they want to share. They want to help us. They want to teach us, in their way about empathy. But they're always learning. They're also learning themselves as well. And so the experience, remember, you have to remember that, when we look at life, we'll see a man of 90 or even 100 and something. In Florida, they live forever. 120, I think we've got an old guy who lives in Sarasota who's even 120 and sprightly and, smart and so on. But even so, even however long it is you live on this earth, however long our life lasts, it really is, in universal terms, in the case of the universe, the energy, the God force, it is honestly a simple blink of an eye. So although it might seem like forever to us, it is a blink of an eye. So when somebody comes back, no matter how much, and people, think about all those people who are disabled in their minds and in their hearts and also in their soul. And often when people come back to teach us intellectually, we may have some listening, but very often, words don't mean a thing, do they really? It's our actions that count. So I think there you have your answer. Let's have our next.
There's a little chatter that the the pillows behind you are kind of making it look like you have an angel wing.
No, it's just the corner of the cushion. Let's not get crazy. Can we? No, let's not have any imagination going on here. It's just the cushion. Here's what we do on this show, and here's what we do around me. We keep our feet on the ground. And then we learn about the truth of a thing rather than the imagination of a thing. So let's have our next question, Michelle.
Okay, the next question is from James.
Good morning, James.
Do you think someone who lives years without a relationship is an angel? Greek for medium is messenger, which is angel.
I'm sorry, what? I get the first part of the question. Do I think that people who live without a relationship are angels? What was the next part of that question?
The next part has a dash and then it says Greek for medium is messenger, which is angel.
All right. First of all, let me ask the first part of the question. No, I don't think if you don't have a relationship, I think it's because for whatever reason you choose not to, but that certainly does not make you an angel. Certainly not. I don't think that at all. There are many reasons why people don't have relationships, so no to that part. The second part, a messenger, yes, I understand what you're saying about the Greek for medium, but messengers come in many forms, and not all messengers are angels. So we have to be careful not to just lump everything together. You might say that I'm a messenger. I can tell you I'm no angel whatsoever. If you'd have heard me this morning with my girls, you would absolutely know that is the truth. I am not an angel. So there are lots of different messengers, and messages come in many different forms. So be careful not to get sort of too hooked into the one idea and allow that to grow. Be more open, be broader in your thinking, James. I think that's what I would say. All right, let's have a next question.
Annie asks.
Good morning, Annie.
Hi, Rosemary. My husband passed away 2 years ago. Today is his birthday.
Oh,
I know
let's celebrate.
I know you don't do this, but does he have a message? It's a hard day for me.
Let me see. I do have a message. I have a message from me, which is not what you're really asking for, are you? But I've got a message from me, which is that, well, first of all, Anne Gregel is now coming in here. So it's perhaps a bit more of a message than a message from me. But wow, what a wonderful, wonderful man your husband is. What a great relationship. And it's so lonely there, I understand. I do see somebody trying to interfere, get involved here. This could be your husband. That's all I'm going to say. Here is your message. It is not just his birthday. There are 2 birthdays, or the two, I'm going to say 2 anniversaries, 2 reasons to celebrate in the next few days. Today might be one reason, but in the next couple of days there's going to be something else that you also need to celebrate, which is going to be really, really tough for you. But here is the message. You have the most beautiful smile, apparently, and he wants you to keep smiling because he knows you can do it. He is right by your side. And if you could just, put a bit more of a layer of, what is that? It looks like spready chocolate to me. If you could just put a bit more of that on top of the, I'm so tempted to say cake, but I actually think it might be cookies. I'm not sure. But anyway, he wants more of that spready stuff on there. That would please him tremendously. I think it would. Let me know if you understand any of that weird message. And from me personally, my darling, you can do it. You're much stronger than you think you are. And he's cheering. Yay. So celebrate the day, please. More of this spready stuff. Looks like chocolate. Anyway, more of that. Let's have another question.
Okay, this one is from Kristen.
Good morning, Kristen.
It seems that those in the spirit world try hard to get the attention of their loved ones still here, but so few of us have the ability to catch these signs. Do you know what that is?
I know why it is. Because we don't know how to listen. And so many times I've tried to say to people, you know, spend 10 minutes, just 10 quiet minutes. So many people think that spending time with their loved ones in the spirit world means you sit there and then you say, you know, the proverbial, is there anybody there? Would you like me to do it how they used to do it years ago in the seances? They'd say, is there anybody there? We don't need to do that. But people think that they have to say, is there anybody there? Can you hear me? Show me a sign. Give me a sign. And so on. And we're so busy asking and asking. We're so busy, whether it's verbally or whether it's in our minds, we're so busy needing, wanting, asking, that we're forgetting to just shut up and be quiet. Listen. Now, I'm saying 10 minutes, and I can assure you 10 minutes of quiet listening feels like an hour, especially if you're not used to it. But if you could learn to have 10 minutes every day sitting quietly, you know, just don't ask a question. All you have to do is say, if you're there, I'm here. This is my 10 minutes to spend with you. If you're around, I'd love you to join me. If you're not around and you're busy, that's okay too. But I just want to spend my 10 minutes with you. And just be quiet. Don't ask anymore. Don't think anymore. And pay attention to your senses. Pay attention to the feelings that you have. Pay attention to, you know, little visuals that you might see. You might see bright light, or you might have a sense of somebody there, or you might feel something there. This is someone in the spirit world trying to connect with you. It might take you a week. It might take you a month. It might take you a year or two. I guarantee if you persevere and you spend that 10 minutes of every day with that person, at some point, they will make themselves known to you. But whenever we are bombarding them with questions, how on earth can they make themselves heard? They can't, because we don't know how to listen. So that would be my advice to you, darling. Try that. Let's have our next comment, question, whatever.
Annie actually made a comment.
Yes.
It said, yes, Rosemary, on July 15th will be 6 years my dad passed. And I still hurt. And my husband loved chocolate.
There we are. Well, if you're making him a cake then, Annie, or cookies or whatever it is, my grandson tells me it's okay that I can die now because his mummy knows how to make his favorite chocolate shortbread cookies. I'm so happy for that. He said it to me so innocently and so beautifully. We talk about death in our house as if it's, you know, just a normal everyday thing. So whatever you're making for him, and do make something, please, you know, extra of the chocolate is what he's saying, which I'm sure he would say when he was here. All right, let's have another question.
Wendy wrote in and asked,
good morning, Wendy.
I'm reading the book, The Boy Who Knew Too Much. Kathy's son talked about a past life from the age of 2 or 3. When he was a little older, she had her head around it. She would ask him questions. She asked him, do people get to choose if they want to come back as a person or an animal? He replied, no, God decides that, but you do get to pick your parents. It's not a talking situation, though, because there are no words here. So my question today is, how do souls communicate?
I don't agree with that at all. There are lots of words, so many words. It's unbelievable how many words there are. So no. All right. Is the boy who knew too much? Is that a fiction, or is that factual? Be careful, because there's so many things that are written and meant to be fiction, and people are so inspired by them that they presume and they think, oh well, that, you know, they take pieces out of it as fact. Not so. There, of course, there are words. We all talk. We all communicate. Maybe there are not words in the way that we do it. I think in many ways it's a type of telepathy, but but there are trillions of words and lots of communication going on. I also don't think, and I might be wrong, remember, because I don't know everything. I don't think we get to choose our parents particularly either. I think that we have like a discussion or conversations with those who in the spirit world who know much more than us, who are much more highly evolved. They're wiser than we are, and we talk about, and they help us to discover what it is that we need and what it is that we need to learn, what it is that we need to be looking for. And then certain environments are suggested for us where we may, if we so choose, where we may be given opportunities to learn those lessons. So I don't think it's as specific as, yeah, you're going to go to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and hey, you get to go to Mr. and Mrs. Jones. And I don't think it's like that at all. I think there's so much more thought put into it, and it's so much more actually intriguing. There's so much more to it. But so there, I'm afraid, even though I read the book years ago, and I can't remember now whether it's fiction or whether, I don't believe it's fiction, actually. Sorry, I don't believe it's non-fiction. I think it's fiction. So I'm already agreeing with the two things that you picked out of the book. So I might be disagreeing with lots more in the book as I read along. But those two things I emphatically do not believe. There are words, and it's not as simple as God says, you go to Mr. and Mrs. Smith and you go to Mr. and Mrs. Jones. It doesn't work like that at all. That is only my experience. When I get up there myself, I might be sitting at the feet of God or whoever, and he'll say to me, did you get that bit wrong? I don't know. I'm not God. I'm not all-knowing, but my experience, a lot of years of experience, a lot of years of doing this tell me that those two things are in fact not fact. Let's have another question.
Okay, Marlene wants to know.
Good morning, Marlene.
Do highly evolved souls such as Jesus and Buddha and Krishna hang out together? Did they know each other before coming to Earth? And how do they interact?
What a great question. What do you think I am? All knowing and all seeing? I don't know. Greg was laughing at me here. He will say this. This is from Gregor. This is not from me, because I do not really know the answers, but I'm obviously, as everybody else is learning on this show and wherever we are, and whenever I give workshops or lectures or teach, and so I'm always open to learning. And the more we know, the less I realize, the less we know. So I will say this from Grey Eagle. Paths cross, winds blow. Sometimes they blow an energy and we connect. Sometimes they blow more than that, but winds blow, paths connect when necessary, and all wisdom. I've never heard this before. See, I'm always learning. All wisdom is, it's as if it's in this great big giant bowl, bottomless bowl. All wisdom comes within this sphere, and we can put our hand in at any time and pull out anything that we want. And usually when we pull something out, it's because we need it and we are ready to learn it. So I don't know if that answered your question, my love, or if it made you even more confused than ever, but I know what he's talking about. That's all there is to it. Let's have another question, shall we?
Linda.
Good morning, Linda.
Says my friend Ray passed last Wednesday.
Oh.
And she would like to hear from him.
Well, that's not going to happen on this show. But first of all, let me just say, Linda, you know how sorry I am for your loss. You know, losses are so hard, aren't they? They're so tough. But Greg has his hand on my shoulder as I'm speaking to you here. So I feel that wherever he is, he's he's fine. He's doing okay. Apparently he had lots of emotional struggles in his life and lots of things to deal with, which he wasn't always able to cope with very well. Please be assured he will get all the help he needs now. So let's have our next question. Any comments?
The next question is from Sharon.
Good morning, Sharon.
If God is all knowing, wouldn't she know what we need in order to evolve to enlightenment and place us in that environment? Isn't that then choosing who we have as parents?
No, not necessarily. Because yes, he, she, or it, whatever God, however you view God, whether you see him as a man with a long white beard sitting on a throne, or whether you see him as an energy or an energy force, whatever that might be. I always tell people, God is only dog spelled backwards. What's in the name anyway? But I know exactly what you mean. But we are placed, you're right, God is all-knowing and is all-seeing. That energy force, that powerful God energy, whatever that is, does know what it is that we need and does know where we should be placed. That's very different than specifically saying, you get to go to Mr. and Mrs. Smith and you get to go to Miss Jones and so on and so forth. I think there's a huge difference there, because it's not just about the parent, it's about the environment, it's about the energy of the people that we're placed with. Yes, in effect, you can say, if you really get down to the nitty gritty, yes, I suppose you can say, yes, he, she, or it does choose our parents. But there's a lot more to the process. So I don't want people to be out there thinking that, it's simply a question of you get a label put on you and then, you're not a parcel. You're not going to be sent to this address or this address. There's way more to it than that. And, this is what I was trying to say. But you are right, Sharon. I mean, you absolutely are. I just trying to explain that it's a much deeper process than just being sent here, there, or whatever. We're not packages here. We're not parcels. I don't think so. Anyway, I'm just kidding. I am kidding. Let's have another question, shall we? We're getting some good questions here. Do we have anything from anybody who's
Comments.
Oh God, yes, let's have the comments. I love it when people comment, and even if those comments are not so great, as long as you are nice, as long as there's no cursing and bad language, and as long as you're respectful, you can say anything you like on this show. She says, holding my breath here. Let's have it.
All right. This was from Pam in relation to her question that she had asked. She said, thank you very much.
I can't remember what question she asked, but anyway.
She said, thank you so much. That was very helpful. Love you too. She was the one that asked about jealousy and...
Got it. Anger and all the rest of it. Good. I hope it helped you, my darling.
And then Lori has a comment and says, my sister and I celebrate Dad's 80th birthday 5 years ago, although he's passed. A song, Dance With My Daughter, was released a week before and kept playing.
Oh, nice. Very nice, Lori. Love it. I love it. But my question to you would be, and you don't need to answer this, don't worry, but my question would be, why did you just celebrate his 80th? What was wrong with his 81st, his 82nd, his 83rd, and so on and so forth? When I think about my daddy, he passed, I'm trying to think, over 40 years ago. And I have to be honest, his is an easy birthday to remember because it's the 13th. He was born on the 13th of March. He died on the 13th of April. So that is kind of 13 months between each, if you work it out. So the number 13 was very appropriate for my father. My grandson was born on the 12th. I don't know why it relates, not of March, but of February, but it relates because I think that dates, times are very significant to us. I don't always remember on the day of my father's passing, but within a day or two, I'm reminded for whatever reason. And, and sometimes I just celebrate by saying a prayer and a hi, Dad. I don't necessarily have a party, but I do always think of him around that time, and in my own way I celebrate. So don't think you have to go out and buy a cake or do any of that stuff. It's not necessary. All those in spirit world want is for us to be doing something good and living our lives in a positive way and celebrating life, because in celebrating our own lives, we're celebrating theirs too. That's how I feel. So good for you, Laurie. What happened to all those other birthdays in between is what I want to know. Yes.
All right, here's a few comments from Sharon.
Yes.
And she said, I agree. That's more that meets the eye. And I'm sure our free will plays a large part in how or if we evolve.
I think she means free will. I agree, Sharon. I'm with you all the way.
And then we have another question from Linda.
Good morning, Linda.
Can people with Alzheimer's travel out of their body before they die to travel and visit others?
Oh, I'm so glad that you asked this question. The answer is, I think you know the answer, actually. You're very aware of the answer to this question, but I'm going to answer it anyway. I once had a patient a long time ago. She was the mother of a student of mine, and she was beautiful. She was a beautiful looking woman, really very handsome. She was probably in her late 50s or early 60s, and she forever had a smile on her face. She'd just walk around with this lovely smile on her face all the time. She seemed to most people to be completely vacant, but to me, we were able to talk in the way that, we talk. And she went on lots of travels, and she was having lots of experiences, lots of wonderful experiences visiting her loved ones in the spirit world. And, traveling about, which is, I always felt, which was why she was always smiling, this wonderful and serene smile, because she was having all these fantastic experiences. One might ask, and I know some of you are thinking it, even as I'm thinking this myself, why then didn't she just go? Why didn't God just take her then? Well, it was because her son still needed his mother still needed her son. Even though she seemed to be vacant, he knew she was in there somewhere, and her time was not yet ready. So I've anticipated questions. Do we have any other questions while Carolyn's busy typing something in there? Whenever you're ready is good for me.
Okay.
It is a live show. We always say, when the mailman comes knocking at the door, or you see the FedEx guy and he's going to come bang on your door, and poor Carolyn has to rush out there, open the door quietly, and grab him before he makes a noise on this show. But I don't care, because it's a live show, so that's what happens. Right, go on with it, Michelle. Let's get on with this one then. Yes.
Terry has a comment.
Good morning, Terry. Let's hear the comment. It better be nice. You better be nice to me.
It says, I will be doing a celebration for life for my son, June 25th, his angelversary number 2.
Oh, how lovely. Well, if I may, can you write down that date? Can I join in and send my personal birthday wishes, Terry, along with yours? And if you listen very carefully on that date, you might hear an angel whisper in your ear. You just never know, but I suspect you might. I think that's wonderful. I'd love to know how it is you're going to celebrate, and if you feel any one of you, if you've got anything you want to say, anything you want to talk about, any questions you'd like to answer, but you're afraid that you're afraid of typing, or you don't want to miss the show, or for whatever reason you're a bit shy and you think of it afterwards, email me, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. You can ask any question you like. Let's have another question, shall we?
All right, Kitty has a question.
Morning, Kitty.
Is time different in heaven? Is there time there?
Yes, time is different. It's weird, really. It's hard to explain it. You might say it's sort of linear time. It sort of kind of goes along with ours, but then then all of a sudden something happens. You realize it is different, because it's almost as if somebody can be in two places at once. For instance, a brother is in bed and he sees his mother in the spirit world. He calls his sister. She says, yeah, but I saw her. How can she be with you and then with me? But time is like, you've heard of the speed of light, and it's there and it's done, it's gone, even faster than I was able to do it then. Time is very different, and in some ways more complex, but in some ways more simple. It's fast. People can move at the speed of light. So it's possible for somebody to be in two places at once. I know that some of you out there have already had that question and wondered about that before. So this is what we do on this show. Sometimes we answer questions that people don't even know we're going to answer. We're amazing on this show. Go for it, girls. Let's have another question, shall we?
Terry responded, first, his birthday, we do ice cream cake. For Angel anniversary, we usually plant something in the front yard in his honor. Last year, we planted a tree, and it is growing so well.
Oh, how lovely. That's my favorite thing to do with my daddy. I planted a malice, which is a dark-skinned, beautiful, dark-blossomed, flowering cherry tree. A malice, M-A-L-U-S, and it grew and grew and grew. And unfortunately, then I moved house and had to leave it behind. So when I moved to America, I planted another malice, which grew and grew and grew. Isn't it wonderful when we see these things blossoming? If ever you need to move, though, let me just say, my darling, don't worry, because it is not so much the tree or the rose bush or whatever it is you're going to plant. It is those thoughts that go along with it. And when you move, you simply plant another one in your new home. So I don't want anyone out there who's planted something for their loved ones to think, I can't move because I can't leave that behind. If I lift it out of the ground, it'll die. Well, don't worry about it, because it's really about the energy and about the thoughts and all of that stuff that put into it. But I'm going to have some ice cream cake with you, I think. Maybe I'll plant something. When is the date again?
June 25th.
That's next week. Oh, I'll think of something. I might plant some rosemary. How about you plant some rosemary too? I love rosemary. It's a great, great herb. Anyway, next question.
One comment and one question. About wrapping it up.
One comment.
Okay. The comment is from Sharon. She says, by the way, I recently returned from my European trip, and you were right. I felt my late husband with me at times. Not Christian, but I lit 2 candles in his memory in 2 cathedrals, and I felt him with me then.
How lovely. I've done that. I've gone all over the world, and every time I come across any church, mosque, doesn't matter what it is, or doesn't matter what your belief system, lighting a candle just to show them that, you are light. You are joining your light with theirs. You feel that they are light, and it's just a lovely, lovely thing to do. So thank you for that. And
one more question.
Well, maybe one or two. You know, who's in charge of this show? Is it me, or is it Karen is saying it's her, but actually it isn't her at all. Let's have another question, shall we?
All right, Lori.
Yes, Lori.
It says, do different people or energies turn up from different directions to us? My family seems to always show up to my right front, but I feel spirits I don't know to my left and back quite often.
I'm going to say people in the spirit world. And yes, actually, I can't speak for the, for the family thing, but when people in the spirit world connect with us, we'll often see them in a certain place. I'll often be listening to my left ear, but I'll sometimes be looking this way. It depends on which side we are most sensitive and which of our senses we most use. And just because I can, let's have another question or a comment or something. Can you see that?
This one is from Jen.
Good morning, Jen.
It says, "Hi, Rosemary. Good morning.
Good morning.
Wondering if someone played tricks on me last night. Can someone reveal to you? Can someone be revealed to you? Thank you so much."
Be revealed to me personally. I'm sorry, Jan, I don't actually understand the question. So if you'd like to sort of do that again another time or even next week, we have one more question. Just because I feel like it. I'm feeling very naughty today. Really feeling naughty. I've got big size on the sofa next to me.
It's not really a question, it's just a statement.
Go for it.
Okay. James says, "I don't like how the fledging of Gordon Higginson Mavis Patilla says all mediums are the same and no one is better than anyone else. It's not fair. Natural mediums have to accept this."
Well, actually, I agree. I don't think that anybody's better than anybody else. However, let's put it this way. There are some piano players who can knock your socks off. And then there are others who have, an incredible gift, but not quite in the same league. So it's not a question about being better. It's perhaps about being more proficient. It's about people being able to, have integrity and, say the right things, using integrity, using common sense and being responsible. Not one person on this planet is better than another person on this planet. However, there are surgeons who have a gift for heart surgery that a regular doctor doesn't have. It's ridiculous to suppose that we've all got equal talents, because we don't. So I think that what we're looking at is that some people are more talented in some areas and some people are more talented in other areas. Doesn't mean that they are better.
Jen had a follow-up. Can someone reveal themselves to you?
To me, no, because we're as I've said, try next week. But I don't think we're going to be able to do that for you, Jan. I'm sorry.
And James added,
I love James. I love you to pieces. Can we have a quick question from anybody else, or is that it?
That's
or
it.
Done? All right, James, come back to us next week, darling, because we will, be happy to look at your questions next week. So let me just say thank you, all of you, for joining me. We've had some great questions this morning. If you want to see us again tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, that's New York, 6 o'clock. And we should be doing our Everything is Attitude with my co-host, Al Pisano, who is unfortunately not able to be with us today. If you would like healing, if you would like to know more about our books, if you'd like to know more about Rosemary in the Kitchen, if you'd like to know more about me or about the spirit world or anything at all, email me, rosemary@rosemaryltea.com, and we will do our best to answer you as quickly as we can. This is Carolyn's last day today in charge, but it's not her last day because she's coming back. Michelle will be completely in charge from now on, right, Michelle?
I follow your lead.
She says, that was good. I follow your lead. She says, I don't know what I'm doing, so somebody's got to be in charge here. So anyway, until I see you all again next week, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? Thank you for joining me. It's been a real pleasure. Please, please, please have a very, very, very blessed day. And how about a very blessed weekend? Do something fun. Plan something nice for some spirit world. I know somebody's going to be doing that. And I'm going to be doing that too.